Good afternoon, everyone. I am Erin Meyer. I'm the Sustainable Food Programs Coordinator at UC Merced. I coordinate all things food waste, food recovery, sustainable foods. So the Bobcat Eats Food Waste Awareness and Prevention Program. I coordinate the People's Fridge, the Pop-Up People's Pantry, Food Connect, a few other things. And then about a year ago, Guillermo and I and some colleagues were figuring out what to do, and we decided to start this AMA series, a Ask Me Anything series, where we invite in a guest, a local expert or non-local, just any sort of expert on some sustainability topic, and we ask them questions, or people come in and ask them questions. So this is a free-flowing conversation for you all. I hope you have your questions ready. I got one from email today. So we'll launch in after we do some intros. So Guillermo, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Erin. Hello, everyone. I'm Guillermo Ortiz. I'm the Sustainability and Diversity Educational Programs Manager in the Office of Sustainability. I really work on the intersection of equity and sustainability. So making sure that the programs that we run out of our office reach a diverse audience and that we're being as inclusive as possible in our sustainability initiatives. And so as part of that, I wanted to work with Erin and highlight some of the great things that are going on in UC Merced and the larger Merced community. So Mitch, thank you so much for joining us and agreeing to participate. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Guillermo and Erin, for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
Anytime. So Mitch, would you like to tell us a bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Mitch Vanagten. I'm the executive chef here at UC Merced. I've been here since before the campus actually opened. So I've been here for almost 16 years. We try to feature as much locally sourced items as we can in our menus. We love to hear feedback from our students so we can implement some of their ideas into our menus. The team also does a lot of community work. We haven't been able to do too much in the past year because of COVID, but we have some things planned in the coming year. We're collaborating with UC Extension Co-op here in Merced and the 4-H Club to conduct some healthy cooking classes at their location on Wardrobe Avenue in July. We're gonna work with UC Davis, the chef there at UC Davis Health. He's doing an event for Farm to Fork fundraiser for scholarships in Sacramento, and he's the head chef this year, so we volunteered to help him prep. That'll probably be in September. So we're always looking for avenues to support the community and promote healthful eating and to promote lessening food waste into in our community. And feel free to ask any questions that are not food waste related. I know that was mentioned in the post, but feel free to ask cooking related questions, food related questions, anything of that sort as well.
Cool. Thank you for the intro. And I think mostly we mentioned that because this month is Zero Waste June. And so it doesn't have to focus on waste or anything. We can certainly talk about all things food. That's what I am about, sustainable food in general. So that being said, feel free and unmute yourself if you've got some burning questions.
Mitch, I actually have one question. When you go through the process of creating a menu for a campus like UC Merced, how do you go about making the decisions of how to create that, what ingredients, all of that, given like the population size that you're serving?
So because I've been here so long, I kind of know what the students are looking for and what the more popular items are. And then we base the menu on popularity first. And then we look through our menus and see where we can source things locally as close as possible. We had a lot of help with UCOP as far as like their strategic sourcing plan to find a lot of these things, but I'm always looking for other opportunities to locally source and have more sustainable products in our menus.
Hi, Chef Mitch. I have some questions for you.
Hi, Matt.
I know you touched on COVID, kind of, putting a damper on things, but can you share a little bit more about what you have in plan as far as future plans to raise awareness amongst the culinary team?
I didn't hear that one part. Can you repeat it, please?
Sure. what are the future plans to raise awareness amongst the culinary team about food waste prevention?
So of course we'll have trainings with our staff, and then pretty soon we'll be hiring students, so we will have trainings as well. I want to have cooking demos for our staff and for the students, again, on root to stem cooking and fin to tail cooking and nose to tail cooking, so they know what our philosophy is. Like yours is your philosophy as well. So those are the kind of things that I plan on doing, and of course outreach to the community as well.
Thank you. And if y'all don't mind, I'm going to rattle off my questions because I got to get back to production. So in a high volume kitchen, wasted trimmings are inevitable. We see it every day. Are there any collaborative efforts that are in the works down the road with the sustainability department to divert these items and these trimmings from landfill?
So currently with our colleagues on campus, there's nothing planned right now. I know that it's something that we have to do. I think part of the problem is that we have a public-private partnership with our current building, the pavilion. So there's been nothing put in place, and there's a whole much more collaboration that needs to go on between the UC and the private corporation that built the pavilion. But as far as our end and dining, we've done a lot of things already, like your program, rescuing our coffee grounds that have been going to Yosemite High School and being used in their garden. That's been very successful. I believe you shared with me that it's been 3 tons already that we've rescued from the landfill as far as coffee grounds.
Yeah, we're approaching 4.
4, okay. And then we had one of our employees this past summer connect with the local Merced Zoo, and some of our trimmings were going there to feed the animals. So there's always opportunity on our level of things we can do. And of course, we'll keep pushing the issue with the campus and the private partnership to hopefully come up with a plan to address some of our food waste in our dining facility. But right now, it doesn't seem like it's not on the top of the list of things to do right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, very unfortunate indeed. So I did have a third question, but I think you kind of summed it up. My third question was, how can dining have an even greater impact on food waste reduction prevention? And I think you have already, kind of touched on that. It's, just addressing what we can in-house for the time being until we're able to, partner with, with the community more and with other departments here on campus to make a greater impact. I mean, I think what we're doing is good, and it's a good start, but I think there's so much more that we can do.
I think a lot of it too is about relationship building and networking. So just for instance, I had a meeting with the new owners of Bella Luna Restaurant on Friday because they wanted to understand where they can buy things locally, what they can do to address food waste. And I shared my knowledge with them, and who knows, like that can grow into a bigger relationship where we can partner with things with more local restaurants in town to share what we're doing here and have more collaboration.
Yeah, perfect. That sounds good. I'm really excited to see what you have in mind with them.
So I see John Newton has asked that question. I'm hoping that with long range planning, showing a larger community garden and or greenhouse, we can accomplish more on campus. Is that something that can be set up? And yeah, of course. I know that we have a couple greenhouses on campus. I think it's just having the ability and the staffing to
this one for you, baby.
And right now, staffing is the problem. I didn't know what it was.
Sorry, it might have been a Zoom bomber.
Oh. Well, that's done.
What were you saying, Mitch?
I was saying that, yes, there's opportunity here on campus, but because we have a community garden, we have a couple of greenhouses. I know there's a new greenhouse behind the pavilion. It's just making that connection and getting those partnerships with our colleagues. Because to be honest, there's been a lot of, when Matt and I reach out to different departments, there's been a lot of pushback. And usually it comes down to they're not having enough staffing to take on these type of projects. And I completely understand that, because we also don't have enough staffing to take on some of the projects that we're asked to partner on. But I think there might be opportunity to connect eventually with maybe Merced College, because I know that they are my friend has become the farm manager there, and they're actually reinvigorating their what they're growing on their campus. So hopefully there's opportunity there for us to start with them, and then eventually bring it to our campus. I hope that answered your question, John.
Yes, it does, Mitch. And I want to make sure, because Matthew said he had to get back to production. If he didn't have any other questions, I got another to jump in.
Sure.
Yeah, thanks, John. I'm good. That's a great segue for me. I do have to go. Thanks, Mitch. We'll talk to you later. Thanks, Aaron, Guillermo.
Hi, Matt.
John.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good seeing you.
Likewise. Well, good hearing you.
So, Mitch, my question is, I'm an educator. I have a master's degree in education. I serve our students on campus. So I'm always looking at where's like educational components for our undergrads and graduate students and even staff and faculty who eat at the pavilion or at our common food consumption spaces. Are there plans to have an educational component even with I'm thinking about like the spices of the world, right? And, or, you know, having dishes that are highlighting Moroccan cuisine and the spices and the colonization aspect of spices and the impact of where we're getting this tasty flavor from and its origins and how it plays a part in our cuisine, and to challenge us to look beyond hamburgers and French fries, and the educational component of students learning how to cook with spices, signage. This is turmeric, this is paprika, you know, in the space, posters on the wall. I don't know. This is the way I think. So
no,
in regards to
that, you brought that up, John. So we already do some things of that sort since I've been here. It's just we don't have a marketing department, and so so we try to market best we can through our social media and buy posters. So let me give you an example of some of the things that we've done. This past semester, we had a theme meal every 2 weeks, and it usually was featuring a different cuisine. So we have done Moroccan food, we've done Korean food, we've done Filipino food. I think it's important, especially where we're located in Merced, to expose our students to different cuisines and different flavor profiles. What I would like to do is share more of the story of why there's, you know, certain cuisines are built the way they are, and usually it's because of what's available in their countries. But so we already do some of that. We also host cooking demos with our different partners on campus for students. We haven't done anything for some of the staff or adults yet, but yeah, that's certainly something we would like to do.
And I would even suggest something related to the indigenous cultures of where we currently work and operate and live and all that. If there's indigenous cuisine and the ingredients that have been used, to highlight that with a special item on the menu, or I think if you've done it in the past, I've seen it, you know, where you kind of highlight a certain cuisine or something available to everybody. Yeah,
but we'd like to not just do it for students, we'd like to have it available too for our staff and our faculty. And we're talking about bringing back our private dining meals. I don't know if you were here for those. I see somebody had written that. So
I didn't know about those. I would have signed up.
So we use it as a training opportunity for our catering students, but it's also an opportunity for me to train our cooks and try new things, especially new things on our catering menus. And also we featured ethnic cuisine in those menus as well. And we're looking forward to bringing those back, because now we are back in the YWDC and the vendors aren't here. So we have access to the private dining room. I recently was working with some of the staff to clean up the garden, because I'd like to bring back growing herbs, our own herbs and things like of that sort. Maybe there will be opportunity to compost with a minor investment, at least getting me a compost bin for the garden. But we have to start small and then get people buy in, and then hopefully it grows into a bigger thing. But I mean, the entire dining staff is passionate about many of the things that you just mentioned, and we're always looking for opportunities to grow.
Awesome. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining us. Any other questions?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Yeah, so I had a question that I actually emailed to Aaron, but since I'm here, I will ask it myself. Okay. So you encourage people to buy ugly produce as a way of combating food waste. Yes. But how do I know if something's ugly because maybe there's something wrong with it versus something that just is weird looking but would still taste good?
So I think the main thing is not getting bruised items. Like you want to look at it. So if it's misshaped and cosmetically imperfect, I think it's safe to buy it. So like this week, I was pulling carrots out of my garden, and they were all misshapen. And so but they were perfectly fine to eat.
Okay.
And if you ever want to like go on a shopping trip with me,
I would
farmers
like
market or something, and I can show you like better examples.
Yeah, I would, because I mean, I think that in some ways, aren't we kind of wired to think that things that are symmetrical, things that look attractive are that's healthy, right? And when something's funky, it's like, well, is there something, off about it? So I think it would be helpful to kind of say like, okay, this looks funky and there is something wrong, but this looks like this and it's okay.
Well, I just had an idea come to my mind. Maybe we can have a group, not just one person, like, have a field trip to the farmer's market and then have a whole little class about this is edible. And I'm sure the farmers will participate by cutting the ugly item open so everybody could taste, as long as we purchase something. So maybe that's another, thing that we can do to educate.
That would be fun and educational.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, we could also make a video out of it. If anyone were interested or anything.
Can I share something on the chat of something that I'm doing? Because usually I like to do a lot of things for nonprofits or to support our students on campus. And for this past year with COVID, I haven't been able to do anything. So this year, Chef Cycle for No Kid Hungry had a fundraiser. And because the writing is virtual, I'm able to participate. I've already had a lot of great support. I've exceeded my fundraising goal, but I'm going to share the link to my page on Chef Cycle for No Kid Hungry in case anybody wants to support No Kid Hungry or kind of check out what I'm doing. We're going to have our ride on this Saturday. We called our team Bobcats on Bikes because the two people who are participating work at UC Merced, and this is my first year doing it. So hopefully in the future, as we get more students on campus and more people back working on campus, I will be able to grow a bigger team and hopefully raise more funds. And the fun part is I put as a prize that I would create a meal and go to somebody's house to cook for the biggest donor. And I had a big donor, and I will be going to their house in July and cooking them a meal with food prepared from my vegetable garden and from the farmer's market as well. And it's the managing director from the El Cap Hotel. So I'm excited to cook for her and her family. And so I'll be working on the menu soon for that.
That is amazing. What kind of things are you planning for that menu? If you had like a magic wand and could make anything, what would you make?
So I definitely want to feature stone fruit. I definitely want to feature corn. I definitely want to feature some of the chili peppers and all the different herbs that I'm growing in my garden. So I'm going to base the menu mostly around almost everything what's in season. It's going to be 6 courses, but only one course will have an animal protein because I want to focus on seasonal produce and plant-based eating with minimal amount of animal protein being featured.
Awesome. You know how happy that makes me. Great.
Well, I'm glad it makes you happy. It makes me happy because I love to feature always food that is in season and especially is available here locally. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead.
Chef
and,
Mitch,
go ahead.
I remember, and this was, you know, a few UC presidents ago, but there was a really big push for us and almost it was a directive to have a certain amount of our food be coming from a certain amount of miles from us and more of the local purveyor as opposed to maybe the more corporate farms. But it seems like that kind of fell off, and that kind of fell off before COVID or anything else. Are we still getting those types of directives from UCOP or anyone else that gives us the leeway to, you know, basically meet these directives, more importantly than our financial implications of?
It's changed a bit, but I know that our beef is going out to bid soon. Our chicken is going out to bid soon. Our produce company, they have to commit to buying a certain amount locally that they're offering to the campuses. So when we're like right now, everything's in season. So like 70 to 80% of our produce is coming within 100 miles of campus. And I know by next year, all campuses are supposed to be at 30% as far as like sustainable purchases, but that just doesn't mean local produce and local products. It could be other sustainable things that these companies are doing. But I know it's still a directive, and I'm sure once things come back to normal, they'll start pushing it out again.
Hey, Mitch, it's Danielle. I had a question.
Yes.
Next year, do you plan on doing any of those fun like pop-up lunches you did many moons ago, those special monthly lunches where you would just create this beautiful, amazing lunch curated and you'd raise money and all that fun stuff?
Yes. We're planning to bring back private dining meals. I've also connected with some local, with Bella Luna, and he's going to offer me his private dining space to use for nonprofit fundraising type things. Maybe not for the campus, but for other local nonprofits. But yeah, definitely. That's what I enjoy the most, and that's what I want to bring back. And I think the staff and faculty who've had opportunity to come to our private dining meals would love to have it back. I also plan on having a different private dining meal for our residents where it's just a swipe. And that would be more an opportunity for us to train our catering students, but also to offer the residents something a little bit high end and something different.
That's cool. Thanks, Mitch.
You're welcome. Erin, did you have any questions that people had sent you?
We had the one that Elizabeth already asked.
Okay.
It's a fantastic question. I have some prepared myself, but I was wondering if others had some before I maybe launch into those as well.
This is Julie. I have a question for Chef Mitch.
Hi, Julie.
Hi. So Mitch, I just noticed I have not just recently, but that we have an apple tree growing in the backyard. And I was wondering, aside from apple pie, do you have any recommendations of anything that I can make with the apples to make sure that none of them go to waste, or any advice? I'll bring you some as well, but if you have any recipes that you recommend.
Apple pie, apple butter is super easy to make and has a long shelf life. Apple sauce. And then I suggest that, you do a big batch, can them, and then you always have a gift if you get invited to somebody's house. So like I have an excess of tomatoes this summer, and I'm going to plan on canning the tomatoes and putting fresh basil leaves in there and giving them out as like gift packages when I visit friends. Plus it's a cheap gift. And I'm cheap.
Thank you. I like it. Thanks, Mitch.
You're welcome. Oh, one thing I wanted to share that I had shared with Erin on Thursday. So I noticed in England, they do a lot of food waste art contests. And I was like, why can't it be something where we can do here? So I emailed Erin about it. She thinks it's a great idea. And I think in October, we're going to host a food waste art contest, and I will sponsor the top 2 prizes. And I think that not only is it going to bring attention to food waste, it'll engage our artistic community here on campus and in the community to create some beautiful art. And hopefully we can display it on campus or maybe at the MAC. We haven't worked out all the logistics yet, but I know that I spoke with Kim Garner from UC Merced Arts, and she's going to help promote it and kind of connect us with an artist to hopefully judge, to be the final judge, since I don't know much about art, but I know what I like. And I know Erin maybe doesn't feel like comfortable judging it, but just with us, because we're not, that's not our area, but it would be nice to have an artist, local artist, have the final say. So one of the prizes will be a gift basket of all upcycled food products, like regrain bars, dehydrated fruit from the Ugly Company, and whatever products I can find. And then the other prize will be a gift card from a local restaurant to support the local economy and local restaurants.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So if there's any folks out there listening, because this will be also recorded and posted on YouTube. So if anyone wants to get involved from either like a judging standpoint or hosting artwork or even just participating in creating the art, they can stay tuned for that or contact us as well. What was the inspiration behind that? Do you remember the name?
No, I don't. It was a post. I had seen a post a year ago in England as well, that they actually had an exhibit at a museum, and it was pretty detailed and pretty big. So I was kind of shocked that we haven't done anything like that here in the US yet. So maybe we can be the first.
Yeah, I'm going to find the link for that and see if I can put that in the email that I send out afterwards, which will contain their recording to this, as well as your link, Mitch, for your fundraiser. So if I find it on LinkedIn, I'll share that. And speaking of fundraisers, do you know anything about if FEAST is going to be on this year?
It is not going to be on this year.
That is a bummer.
Too many logistical problems, but I have Merced College has reached out to me to help them cook for a fundraiser, possibly in October, to support their new farming program and their garden. Not their garden; it's actually a farm. So hopefully that will happen, and that will be to support their the farming department over there and their students.
I love how involved you are in everything.
I think a lot of job satisfaction and just personal satisfaction is, if you have an area of expertise, and if it's easy for you to do something, then you should absolutely offer that skill set to whoever is asking you to help. So for me, cooking's easy. For me, creating menus is easy. So if I can take that off somebody's plate so they can concentrate on reaching out to get more people to donate to their fund or to market it, and I free that off their plate, and I know that my team feels the same way, we're more than happy to help. And there's a sense of, I don't know, we just want to help. And I think that's that's the most feasible way for us to support our community, either by teaching cooking classes or offering our cooking skills to different nonprofits.
That's amazing. So I found that LinkedIn post, and there's no actual link to the art displays, but there are a few pictures, and because of copyright, I don't feel good about saving those pictures and putting them in the email, but maybe I'll just put like a screenshot of the post, and if people are interested, they can just look at that post if they want. Anyone else have questions? I've got a few. So Sorry about that. I'm having tech issues. So what chefs do you follow?
Oh, so I like Korean food. So I follow David Chang. I listen to his podcasts. I don't know if anybody's had an opportunity to listen to both of his podcasts. There's one called The Recipe Club, which is, they test out 3 recipes and then they declare a winner. But there's been some interesting things that I wanted to prepare that after listening to that podcast. And then his other podcast talks on a bunch of different subjects. So one of his recent podcasts was about the plight of the African-American farmer in the United States. After I listened to it, I actually bought the book that of the author. I don't recall her name, but I haven't started reading it yet. But he's one of the chefs I follow. Chef Roy Choi is another chef I follow. And then I follow a lot of the other UC chefs because I like to see what they're doing on their campuses for their students and for their faculty. It's interesting to see some of the things they're doing, and it's also an opportunity for me to connect with them, maybe not personally, but to see what they're doing. And any one of the UC chefs that I ask a question about how they make this or how they're doing this, they're more than happy to share.
Yeah, Santana's great. I think he's the only one I know at the UC level, but he's fantastic. Santana Diaz, I believe is his last name.
Chef Mitch, I do actually have a question. Sorry, Aaron, do you want to go?
Yeah, I'll ask because it's kind of similar in the same vein as it.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the chefs that you follow. I have kind of a twofold question. Who do you want to cook for? If you could cook for anyone, who would you cook for? And then secondly, who would you want to cook for you? If you could only pick one person to ever cook for you again, who would it be?
Who would I want to cook for? I don't know. I'm pretty excited to be able to cook for the managing director of the El Cap Hotel because I know she has a varied experience, and I always would want to see, I like to hear her opinion of my food because I don't know, she hasn't tasted it yet. So, and somebody who's worked in big hotels and has tasted a lot of different foods. I mean, that's what I'm excited about right now. As far as in my career, I've cooked for astronauts. I've cooked for the Hewlett and Packards when I was working at a country club, like the founding members. So I've been able to, and I've cooked for Bill Walsh, who used to be the 49er head coach, Super Bowl champion. I just like cooking. So I love cooking even just for my family and friends. So I'm not trying to impress anybody. I think I just I want to feed people and make them happy. And that's the main thing for me. And for someone to cook for me, do you guys watch Top Chef?
Yeah.
I kind of have a crush, don't tell Kim, on Padma, with Padma Lakshmi. So I would like her to cook for me.
Mitch, does she even cook? That doesn't count.
She does cook. She has cookbooks. She's at a cooking show. I mean.
Okay.
John has a question in chat that's relevant. Sorry, Guillermo. What dish are you most proud of being able to do very well?
Not anything particular. What I like is which happens, so you get a last minute catering event or a VIP guest and you have to make like a 4-star plate, but it's only what you have access to in your fridge. And so you have to create something that you didn't special order for this event with what you have in-house. So we've had to do that a couple times on campus because sometimes we have last minute VIP guests. And I've always gotten good response and good feedback for the dishes I've created. And some of them actually have been put into the menu, even though it was created in a moment. So that's the kind of thing that I'm proud of.
Sometimes are the best things, like when you can improvise a little bit. That's like when the best jokes happen, when the best creative work happens, is with a little bit of improv, I've learned. Guillermo, sorry.
No, no worries. My Chef Mitch, my mom is like obsessed with cooking, loves cooking. It's always been her passion. And so I know she has her favorite dishes. What's your favorite meal? That you've like, whether it's something that's like soulful or enriching, that you just like, it's your go-to whenever you're in the mood for that one dish. What's your
for me to cook or for me to go to somewhere else?
I'm gonna say for you to go somewhere else, and then I'll tag on the second part of that of if you have to cook it yourself.
Many years ago, I was on a trip to San Simeon to go see Hearst Castle, and there was a diner in front, and I swear to you, they had the best apple pie ever. So the following year, I made the trip especially just to have the apple pie, and they were out of business.
Oh,
I also taken over, and I ordered the apple pie. I'm like, this is not what I had last year. And they're like, oh, we're new owners. So, and my recent kick at home has been trying to do different cuisines that either I'm not familiar with, and sharing that with my family so that I can expose our kids to different cuisines. So last night we had Burmese food, and that's delicious. And then 2 weeks ago I made Colombian arepas. And so I try to do something different every weekend to expose them to some type of different cuisine that is either not available here in Merced, or you have to go all the way to San Francisco or actually to the actual country to have the food. So there's no Colombian food here. There's certainly no Burmese food here. And so that's what I like to feature. I was actually thinking, going back to John's suggestion to have more ethnic cuisine, I was actually thinking to feature Burmese food for a future theme meal here.
I think that'd be great. I think it's I think one of the things I feel like while I do like to travel, I think one of the biggest experiences I can think of when traveling is having the opportunity to try different cuisines from different countries or different parts of the United States. And so I think that relationship with food and culture is really important. And so, yeah, I really look forward to seeing what you come up with when you start thinking about different kinds of cuisines to feature here on campus.
Great.
So I have a question for you.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, now, first of all, the thing about Padma, don't bother coming home after that. But listen, so out of all of the things that you've done on campus and all of the events, do you have a favorite? And what is that and why?
Oh. I want to say Chancellor Leland's going away dinner. We had a good relationship. I kind of like, we were on the same page as far as like the kind of food she liked, and she was always super appreciative. So I would say that.
Okay. All right. So here's my follow-up question for you. So you've cooked now for how many chancellors?
Every single one of them.
Okay. Every single one of them. Okay. And what were their preferences? Like, did they have special preferences?
So Chancellor Leland liked spicy food. So I always had to make sure to have a spicy element. Chancellor Kong, he never was like too particular. He just wanted to have tasty food. I don't think the first Chancellor was here long enough. I think I only did one event for her.
Yeah.
Rod Park never had anything going on. And Chancellor Munoz has been super appreciative of all the different things that we've done for him. And we did Mexican food for him a couple of weeks ago for a VIP visit, and he wanted authentic food, and he gave us the thumbs up. So he said we hit one out of the ballpark on that one. So I'm glad he's happy. Can I choose a second chef to cook for us, since you're mad about the Padma comment?
Yes, as long as they're not good looking.
Okay. I'm at a loss right now. Any other questions?
I do have a question. So one of the things, so right now I'm actually working remotely from Virginia, and in DC, we have one of my favorite local chefs is Chef Jose Andres. And I'm Puerto Rican by background, so after Hurricane Maria, Chef Jose Andres went and served countless meals to folks impacted by the hurricane. And I was wondering, for yourself, do you see with some of the climate change impacts that we're experiencing here in California with the wildfires or anything, do you see a role for the university to play, or even within your own volunteer efforts to kind of help people who are impacted by natural disasters?
So I'm so glad you brought up Chef Jose Andres, because I had read his book about how he handled the hurricane in Puerto Rico and how he fed all those quick peoples in such an efficient manner in spite of the red tape he had to deal with FEMA. I also make sure regularly to support his cause. And like, we can actually have, like, I can actually volunteer if something like a wildfire happens here and he's out here to feed. I can actually volunteer with my team and sign up to help. So that would be like the first thing I would do. It'd probably be the simplest thing to do. They already have so much infrastructure in place to be able to feed thousands of people in a quick manner, and to get the food there where it needs to be. I know during COVID, when it first started, he was actually he wasn't out in Madera, but his team was out in Madera, and basically they were supporting the local restaurants by buying meals from the local restaurants, and then they were distributing them. So that's another opportunity for us. During the wildfires last year, we were asked to be a backup just in case the Red Cross wasn't able to support the firefighters. So we actually were in the process of planning to feed them and deliver the food. But luckily it didn't need to happen because the fires were, they handled them quicker than they thought they were going to. So but yeah, we're always looking for opportunities, and you know, maybe Chef Jose Andres would be the one I would ask to cook for me, since we brought him up.
I would love to have him for a panel or an AMA. That would be amazing.
That would. I know Jeff Rivero was planning on to bring him in for something that he's working on. So you may want to connect with Jeff Rivero.
Oh, yeah. I wonder what he's got up his sleeve.
It had something to do with his 17andMe project that he's working on.
Right. Oh, so maybe it was part of the interview. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. That would be quite a get. Great questions. Does anyone else have questions?
I think there was a question in chat. What was on the menu for Chancellor Munoz?
Oh, yes.
When you cooked, I think Mexican, I think you said, Chef Mitch?
Pretty standard things. We did carne asada, chili rellenos, house-made chips, like 3 different salsas, horchata, and then strawberry agua fresca. And he wanted to make sure that the beans were refried in lard. He didn't want the vegetarian vegan version, so we accommodated it. You know, we gave him what he wanted, and he was happy. So
sounds like quite the menu.
I enjoyed eating it after.
So what are some of the biggest causes of food waste in the kitchen, and what are some solutions that you have to offer us?
Okay, so so in our operation, I foresee the post-consumer waste, now that we've changed all you care to eat, being probably the biggest generator of food waste. And my suggestion is that we separate it out eventually and compost it. There's other opportunities. We can get a food waste digester. I know there's like a way to generate electricity with food waste. There's a lot of different options. the one thing that's holding us back is funding to pay for some of these things and staffing, to have an extra person in the back of the dish room to separate our food waste. As far as like kitchen production, it's a lot of peeling and trim from all the vegetables. So that would be another way, like if we had a food waste composter or a way to compost, that would be an opportunity there. I know currently we're donating some to the zoo, but it's still, when we're open full blast, there's at least 200 pounds a day that we generate, like carrot peelings, onion peelings, fruit peelings. So
Wow.
those are the two main areas that we generate food waste, and that hopefully we can come up with solutions in the coming years to deal with it. So I see John said there's got to be a grant out there for funding something. The problem is, like, we need to find the right person to connect to in the grant department to assist us with that. And I know Aaron's area of sustainability has had some success. And so maybe it's something, yes, that we can, because I think the food waste digester would be the best solution, because it basically turns food waste into compost in a 24-hour period. And just imagine the closed loop that we could have if we could use the compost that's from the food waste in our herb garden here, in our greenhouses, and even in our landscaping. And actually, I think it would save money eventually and pay for itself.
How much does that piece of machinery cost?
So it's hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Okay.
And the problem is, then we have to deal with the private partnership part.
Yeah.
And we have to have permission for us to allow that to be in their building. So there has to be buy-in on their end. Okay. But maybe that's not the place to put it. Maybe if we put it, because that's the campus's, building, and maybe have to truck some of the food waste over here. But I know CSU Sacramento has a closed loop system for their food waste. So what is composted on campus stays on campus. I know previously we used to compost our food waste, and I asked, how can we get the compost back? And they're like, you have to buy it. I said, what do you mean? They're like, it gets shipped out, gets turned into compost, and then you have to buy it to send it back. So then there's a whole carbon footprint part of that just seems asinine to me. So, but I will keep pushing to anybody who wants to listen to bring this on. John has asked, do you attend conferences and collaborate with the UCs and CSUs often? So I attended the last two CHESC conferences, and I believe Aaron has attended those as well. That's a good opportunity for other UCs and CSUs to collaborate. But we haven't had any projects to collaborate on. Usually what I do is use the opportunity to mimic some of the successful things that they do at their campuses and bring them back here.
I have a question.
Yes.
So back when I used to work there, one time they had a thing where you could tour the community garden, which I did. And I said, hey, do you use this food from the community garden in the dining hall? And I guess that is not allowed.
So that community garden is for students who are suffering from food insecurity, can have access to that, and they have harvest days. So, but my goal with bringing back the herb garden is at least so that I can use the herbs here in dining. And the ultimate goal is eventually when the other greenhouses open, and then hopefully we can have access to it. But for now, I know that my friend who I connected with at UC Merced College, who's farming, he's offered me some of their produce to buy. So it's not actually on campus, but I'm still going to be supporting their program, and it's going to be right across the street. So hopefully that can work out in the fall. He's going to concentrate on growing the more popular things that we offer, like zucchini and tomatoes. Mm-hmm. They're going to be growing pumpkins because I know that's a big money maker for them. But so hopefully they grow to something bigger, and then hopefully it will convince our campus to make it more a necessity here.
Yeah, I didn't realize, I guess I didn't get that the community garden is used for people who have food insecurity. So is it just the people who garden or do they give that
post
food out?
They post online, I think 1 Friday every month or 2 Fridays.
That's great.
If you're ready to harvest, here's what we have available. If you have this time window to come pick it up.
Oh.
But I would love to have something on campus. Like
Yeah.
UC Davis has, I know we're not an ag school, but I think there's still opportunity to do something maybe on a smaller scale where we can grow our own food and then have that whole educational component that John has mentioned. You know, this is where your food comes from. This is where your food comes from.
Right.
This is how it's grown. This is what's going on with our food waste is turning into compost and feeding the vegetables. Like, there's so many opportunities here. It's just, first of all, finding other people who connect with that are just as passionate and convincing people, you know, staffing. That's always the thing I do is like, do you have the staff?
Right.
Mitch, have you heard anything about this smart farm?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I only know a little bit. I might know more on Thursday, but we had a Women in Cellular Ag panel a couple of weeks ago, and a couple of folks joined it, and they're trying to look at starting a smart farm on campus somewhere. Not entirely sure where or when, but we're meeting on Thursday to talk more about how we can implement some sustainability initiatives into that, like regarding surplus food rescue and everything.
Well, so Manteca School District in San Joaquin County has a farm, and they're growing vegetables for their high school cafeterias. So how they support the program is that the cafeterias are paying the going rate of what produce is in the free market, and that supports the student labor and it supports a lot of the program. So like, I'm happy if my role can be to purchase things from the smart farm to help support the program at whatever the market price is and not expect lower pricing. I'm happy to do that.
That's great. All right, so we have about 5 minutes left. Anyone else have any questions for Chef Mitch? You can either verbally say them out loud or you can put them in chat, whatever you're most comfortable with.
Hey Mitch, it's Julie again.
Hi, Julie.
It's a barbecue season, so what's next in your barbecuing regimen?
Are you talking barbecuing, smoking, or grilling? Because there's a difference, and I know it's just like people who smoke as barbecue are super particular when you're saying I'm going to barbecue and then you throw meat on the grill. They consider that grilling. So I know, especially here in Merced, there seems to be a lot of passionate people who like to smoke their meat.
Not smoking yet, and
Okay.
general barbecuing, grilling.
Okay.
What would you recommend?
Well, what I would recommend making sure that you ensure you grill some vegetables along with your animal protein so that you have a good mix. And charring vegetables always give it really good flavor. And I suggest when you char the vegetables, just season them. Don't put any oil or anything else because it adds more moisture and then you don't get that char flavor on the actual vegetable. You're just boiling it on the grill. And then make sure you have the proper heat on the grill and that you have 2 sections. One that's like super hot to sear, like so if you're doing steaks and they're thicker, so you can get that nice char, and then a section where it's a lower heat where you can move it over to finish the cooking because you already got the char. Okay. So you have areas of so you can kind of control what you're doing so you don't burn anything.
Thank you. I'll let you know how it goes.
Are you doing propane barbecue or charcoal?
Charcoal.
Yeah, so make sure that you have a hot section of charcoal and then have a more like 350 degrees just to finish cooking things. Or if like you're getting overwhelmed, you can move stuff over so that and then you can bring it back when you're getting closer to serving.
Just come over and barbecue it for me.
Well, I have a side catering business. No, I don't.
Thank you.
No, but I do want to have more cooking classes eventually, virtually or in person, where it's just for basic cooking skills, like you mentioned, barbecuing, or how to use a knife properly, how to roast vegetables, one pan dishes. There's so many opportunities, and I think anything to encourage people more to cook at home, so where they can control the salt intake, they can control like what products they're putting into their meal, the better. I have a question for Kim.
Go for it.
When are you gonna start cooking in the house?
As soon as you start giving cooking classes. Very nice.
I wanted to close it with a joke and some laughter and.
At my expense. Thanks a lot, buddy.
I love cooking. So
There'll be payback.
Thank you, Guillermo. Thank you.
It was a bold move. You went for it. I'm not sure if it was the right one at the end.
I'm sure there'll be a sleeping bag on the porch when I get home.
Beautiful. I think that's a really good place to end it, on a moment of laughter. So thank you all for a lovely day and a lovely conversation. Look forward to my email with the recording and some other resources for you. And please let me know if you need anything or want to talk more about food waste, zero waste, anything like that. And thank you, Chef Mitch, for being here. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. I had fun.
You too. Thank you, everyone.
Have a good day, everybody.
Bye.